This is turning out to be such a beautiful spring for us this year. The weather is mild, it is settled, we're not having crazy storms anymore. I have got my garden, my big vegetable garden, about halfway planted. I am still working on it. But along with planting the garden, I was doing one last final sweep in my pantry, organizing jars and canners for the very busy season up ahead of me. And I noticed that my pumpkins that I grew last summer is starting to get a soft spot. These are Musky de Provence pumpkins. I grew these last summer, harvested them last fall. We had 3 pumpkins total out of the harvest. I ate one over the winter. I'm going to process both of them into canned pumpkin because it is time for me to plant this year's pumpkins. Plus, with the soft spot forming, it is just time to put these into jars so they last a little bit longer. Now to start, I need to cut and peel and de-seed these pumpkins. Now, please know that this is the most time-consuming part of this recipe, and it should be, because you need to be careful when cutting squashes and pumpkins. It's not difficult to cut a pumpkin. You just need to take your time and do it correctly. So the easiest way to get this done is to actually stab it in the middle. So these pumpkins, it's right by the stem, and then push the knife away from you to cut the first half. Turn it around 180, stab it again by the stem, and then push it away from you, and then you should be able to snap it open. After they are opened, go ahead and de-seed and get all the guts and all the seeds out of it. I just have this very old plastic scraper that we got from an old pumpkin carving kit, and it's newer pumpkin carving kits don't come with the really thick plastic scoopers anymore. So I don't know. You guys are gonna have to figure out how to scoop it out, but this thing works amazing, and it only takes a couple minutes to de-seed a pumpkin with this little tool. I'm very grateful that I picked a pumpkin carving kit up that particular year, because I have kept that little carver ever since. After they are de-seeded, go ahead and chop it up into slices. Now we are going to have to peel this, so this is how I peel big pumpkins. This is even, well, no, butternut squashes I peel with a peeler, depending on how big they are. But big pumpkins or squashes like this is probably the easiest way to peel it. Simply flip it over onto a flat side and cut it up into slices. And then after they into manageable slices, just go ahead and carve off the skin with your knife. Try to get as much skin off as you can as you go with these really Cinderella-like pumpkins. Sometimes that can be a little bit tricky, and you end up cutting more of the pumpkin off with the skin than you intend to, but just try your best. Then you are gonna cut it up into 1-inch cubes. You don't need super large cubes. You also don't need super small cubes. So this is a hot pack method. Pumpkin, I'm even surprised pumpkin is even approved to be canned to begin with. We definitely cannot can it pureed. We do have to can it into cubes, and you have to hot pack it. I'm sure somebody out there is gonna raw pack it, but I actually do not encourage this because pumpkin does shrink, and you only need to boil it for a couple of minutes. It doesn't take that long. That much longer, I should say, and it really helps you get all the pieces into the jar when they are just soft around the edges. If they were raw, it'd be kind of hard to get these all in the jar, and then they shrink. You need to tightly pack these jars. It really is easier if you just hot pack it. Also, I was able to get 2 rounds of canning done with this. So each pumpkin gave me about 6 quart jars worth of pumpkin. Now how much you get is all going to depend on the pumpkin that you have, because pumpkins are very unique to each other. Some give more flesh to eat versus others, and so I can't really give you certain numbers in this recipe. But this isn't a recipe that you need specific measurements with. It's not like canning salsa where you need to balance the ingredients to the spices, to the salt, to anything else that goes into salsa. This is just pumpkin and water. So just use what you have, fill the jars up as you can. You can use pint jars or quart jars for this recipe. I will give the timing for both later. Okay, so I did one pumpkin at a time. I got it all into a stock pot and I'm going to fill it up just until the water reaches the top, because that'll be plenty of water to fill the jars with. Afterwards, I also have my jars soaking in hot vinegar water at this point, and I have my pressure canner filled and onto the stove heating up. You're just gonna bring your pumpkin and water up to a boil. You just need to boil it for a couple of minutes. You just need all the pieces nice and hot, so make sure you stir it well. Once it's boiling, you can take it off the heat, pull your jars out. Then we're gonna fill it up, using the pumpkin solids first. So get all your pumpkin solids into your jars. You need to leave an inch headspace with the pumpkin solids. After all the pumpkin solids are in your jars, you will use the water you just cooked them in to fill them up. We need to leave a final 1 inch headspace. You can add a teaspoon of salt to each jar if you wish. That is optional. After they are filled, go ahead and debubble very well. Adjust as needed, because sometimes once you debubble, you get a bunch of room and you can fill it up a little bit more. Go ahead and wipe your rims very well with vinegar or really hot water. And then we are gonna put our lids and bands on, finger tight. Then we will load them up into the canner. Now, of course, follow the instructions to your personal pressure canner on how to process these, because they are all just a little bit different. Quart jars need 90 minutes. If you did pint jars, 55 minutes. 10 pounds pressure, adjusting to altitude. After they are out of the canner, let them cool down on a dry towel. Let them sit there for at least 12 hours. Check the seals the next day. You will wash these before you put them on the shelf, and that is all there is to it, to just canning plain pumpkin. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helps, and I will see you in the next one.